prophecy of the 10 toes. The end times prophecy of the 10 toes and the feet of iron and clay and the 10 kings in the book of Daniel's prophecy will be covered in this video. First, looking to Daniel about the end times and the final kingdom. Daniel chapter 2, verse 40 through 42. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, forasmuch as iron breaketh in pieces and subdue all things. As iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. So Daniel's fourth final kingdom is the final kingdom with the fourth king, which is the Antichrist. Daniel chapter 2, verse 41 and 42 continues. It says, And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, forasmuch as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. This final kingdom is the feet, and it has 10 toes. And the fourth beast of the Daniel's final king of the fourth kingdom, in the prophecy, it has 10 horns. Daniel chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of the feet with it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. This fourth beast tramples everything with its feet. And the little horn is the Antichrist, which is the beast, which has 10 horns, which is the 10 kings in their 10 divisions. Daniel chapter 7, verse 17 and 18. These great beasts which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever. So we see here the fourth king is different than the 3 beast kings that were before him. Daniel chapter 7, verse 19 says, Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. Now the final king tramples the earth with his feet. And in Daniel chapter 7, verse 20, we see 10 horns that are on his head, and before whom 3 fell. So watch this. These are 3 kings that get subdued out of those 10. Daniel chapter 7, verse 20 says, And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell. Before what? Before whom 3 fell? 10 of those horns. And it goes on and says, Even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So we see that the little horn subdues 3 kings. And this is the same likeness of the bear, where the bear had 3 ribs in his mouth. And this is why the Antichrist, which will be covered later, has feet of a bear. Daniel chapter 7, verse 23 says, Thus he said, The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. This fourth beast is different than all the 3 beasts before him. Daniel chapter 7, verse 24 says, And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. The little horn, the beast of the Revelation, has the diversity of the 3 beasts before him. And that's why it says that he shall be different from the first. This is a mixture of the 3 before him, and we'll look at those now. First, the lion, which is the king of Babylon, who had an image that was to be worshipped. Daniel chapter 7, verse 3 and 4 says, And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. And that is the king of Babylon. And the second is the bear, which is Cyrus. Daniel chapter 7 verse 5 says, And behold, another beast, a second, like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. So we see here that the 3 ribs in the mouth of the bear was Cyrus, and whom he subdued 3 kings. And this is why the bear had 3 ribs in his mouth. Now next is the leopard, which is Alexander the Great, who is known as the King of the Gentiles. Daniel chapter 7 verse 6 says, After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So we see the diversity here of the 3 beasts before the final king have a mixture of all 3, of the lion, the leopard, and the bear. This is what is seen in the book of Revelation about the Antichrist, how we know that he's the 4th beast, the 4th king. And the beast of Revelation chapter 13 is the Antichrist, the little horn, in whom that is spoken about in the 4th king, the 4th beast of the book of Daniel's prophecy. And we know this because the Antichrist has a likeness of these 3 kingdoms before him. He's diverse from all the 3 kings before him, which are the lion, the leopard, and the bear. Revelation chapter 13 verse 2, it shows the mixture of all 3. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power, and his seat, and great authority. So the beast was like a leopard, bear, and a lion. Here we see the beast is like a leopard, in that he is a Gentile like Alexander the Great. The beast has the feet of a bear, and he tramples and subdues 3 kings like Cyrus. The beast has a mouth of a lion and has an image just like the king of Babylon. This little horn, which is the Revelation, also has the 10 kings. And this little horn also, as it's spoken about the 4th king having 10 horns and 10 toes, which are 10 kings, the beast, the 4th king, right, which is the Antichrist in the book of Revelation, also has 10 horns. Revelation chapter 13 verse 1, it says, And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So these 10 horns have 10 crowns, which are 10 kings. And the beast and his kingdom are powered by the devil with these 10 kings. So we know this is not the messianic kingdom, but this is a false kingdom. And this is the final kingdom that fights against Christ, which has yet to be established, which is their new world order. Revelation chapter 12 verse 3 says, And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. So we see here that it's the great red dragon that has the 10 horns, because it is the beast who's serving the will of the devil. And the beast will have 10 divided regions in which the beast ends up ruling over the earth with those 10 kings. Revelation chapter 17 verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And this is where the dominion of the beast's kingdom will sit, as Jerusalem is that whore, having dominion and ruling over the earth with those kings. Revelation chapter 17 verse 7 says, And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. So we know that this is where the final kingdom is going to be set, is at Jerusalem. The beast carries her, is the final kingdom, and the beast has 10 horns. And these 10 horns are the 10 kings, in which takes dominion away from the Jews at Jerusalem. The beast and the 10 kings sack Jerusalem and take the dominion away from the whore. Revelation chapter 17 verse 12 says, And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. The 10 kings have not received power over the final kingdom yet, because Jerusalem has not yet been sacked. And Jerusalem, when it is sacked by the 10 kings with the beast, they will be given dominion to have rule over Jerusalem with the power of kings over the earth from Jerusalem, with the beast leading them. This is seen in the Revelation chapter 17, verse 13 and 16, and it says, These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So they turn on Jerusalem and sack Jerusalem, and power is given over the beast to rule from Jerusalem. And this is the will of God, that the punishment of Jerusalem comes upon the whore. And we see this in Revelation chapter 17, verse 17 and 18. And God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. This final kingdom has 10 regions, that have no kings ruling over them as of yet. Daniel chapter 7, verse 7 says, And I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. And we know that Rome is the teeth of iron. And we know that Rome is a backbone for what is being built through the Vatican, that the role of the false prophet is the Pope. The seat of the false prophet is the Pope, which the false prophet comes out of the seat of the Vatican, who will be the religious leader who comes in and takes dominion in Jerusalem alongside the Antichrist, whom the Pope exalts as the emperor. And this is the Club of Rome, who have set sustainable development roadmaps. They have 10 divided regions. The Club of Rome have set up with Edward Pastel and Mahajo Mosarovic 10 world regions. They want to have dominion over this over these 10 world economic regions monitored by artificial intelligence.
I'm announcing today that my administration will lead an international effort to enforce biological weapons convention, which is going to be meeting with the top leaders of the world by pioneering an AI verification system, by pioneering an AI verification system, by pioneering an AI verification system that everyone can trust. Hopefully the UN can play a constructive role, and it will also be one of the early projects under AI. Let's see how good it is, because a lot of people are saying it could be one of the great things ever, one of the great things ever, one of the great things ever. But it also can be dangerous, but it can be put to tremendous use and tremendous good, and this would be an example of that.
These are 10 groups of divisions in which they want to have dominion over the world through monitoring and surveillance with satellites, artificial intelligence, and a management grid for their new world order. And just as the feet has 10 toes, the final kingdom of these regions also are divided up and split up into 10 regions. And that's what we see when we look to the prophecy of Daniel chapter 2, verse 41 and 42. It says, And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, forasmuch as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Now these 10 regions and these 10 toes, right? These will end up having 10 world leaders that end up having management power and authority over these 10 zones. And these 10 kings, having dominion over these 10 world regions, are the G7 nations and the 3 that get subdued by the beast, which is India, Russia, and China. And those divisions of India, Russia, and China have their own blocks. And then the G7 nations have divided up with their New World Order schemes of the Club of Rome to have these other sections of the world divided up under management of the G7. That is Italy, France, United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, United States, and Japan. The G7 nations with the BRICS, which is the 10 kings, will have an agreement over these 10 regions and Jerusalem over this conflict. The 7 nations of the G7 at the UN and the BRICS are split up for the Security Council. The United Nations Security Council has 5 permanent members, and that's split up between members of the G7 and BRICS. The G7 is US, Italy, France, Germany, Britain, Canada, and Japan. And the 3 BRICS nations at the United Nations is Russia, China, and India. And those divided regions of those 10 zones will be set up for that division for the 10 horns with 10 kings. And the beast in subduing those 3 kings is seen in Daniel chapter 7, verse 24. It says, Daniel chapter 7, verse 24, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So we know that these 10 regions are likened unto 10 toes, North American Union. Now I'll make a point on that now. That's why you're seeing a fight over the canal, the Panama Canal, and why you're seeing them talk about taking the land up there in Greenland, and that why there's a conflict with saying there needs to be dominion over with Canada and also with Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico being renamed to the Gulf of America. This is all a part of the plan that Donald Trump is using to actually execute the goal of the North American Union. This is one of the 10 regions for the Antichrist kingdom. And the people that are supporting this are actually cheering on the Antichrist kingdom. This is a dominion that's going to be taken over with the missile defense shield. That's why they're talking about the Golden Dome. This is for the preparation for the kingdom of the Antichrist to rise. The other regions are the Latin American Caribbean region, African Union, Arab League, European Union, the Eurasian Union, which is the old Soviet Union with Russia, the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership Basic Framework of the Pacific Union, ASEAN Union, ASEAN Union, India, and also China all have their own bloc. And these are the 10 regions of the 10 kingdoms of the beast. And this is Daniel chapter 2, verse 42, where it says, and the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And what you will end up seeing is you'll end up seeing the Pope going to the G7 meetings and helping work some of the framework for this stuff and try to talk this stuff out with the G7 and try to work an agreement with the 3 economic leaders of the BRICS, of India, Russia, and China. And ultimately, the beast will turn on India, Russia, and China and strike them as a part of subduing them. And then ultimately after which, latter in the tribulation period, that those 3 kings will rise up from the east with 200 million man armies and come in at the 6th trumpet and the 6th bowl. And this is a portion of the prophecy that will be fulfilled latter, but now we're looking at the 10 feet, the 10 toes of the feet. So what we're seeing here with the prophecy is the 10 divided regions with the 10 kings being prepared, being set up for the 10 toes of the feet of iron and clay. And this is the prophecy of the 10 toes.